Manilal N. Mehta demonstrated commendable humanity by permitting looters to seize goods worth millions of dollars from his mills to safeguard 5,500 Hindus and Muslims during World War II in Burma, present-day Myanmar. This noble act is well documented. This may be the only family website in the world where you will see more documents, proof and evidence with very little or no subjective or creative writing, because our documents speak for themselves. Manilal Nautamlal Mehta was the eldest son of Nautamlal Bhagawanji Mehta, who was the first to coin the word Mahatma for Gandhiji. On January 21, 1915, thousands of children were killed, and our mill after loot Mahatma Gandhi visited mill earlier, and my father with some mill staff. Hundreds of children thrown in nearby ponds or snatched from mothers' hand to kill. Note, we could have very comfortably hired a book writer, a film producer or a journalist to create more drama and generate publicity. But it is not in our background. And it is never needed because every document speaks for itself with a few lines. It is a matter of your sense, logic and judgment. I don't want our golden truth to be polluted. All should have proper documentation and supporting documentation with photos at the bottom. During World War II, Japanese forces invaded Burma, now Myanmar, which was then under British colonial rule. The British troops retreated, and in the power vacuum left behind, considerable violence erupted between pro-Japanese Buddhist Rakhine and pro-British Muslim villagers, Indians stuck between. This killing and loot occurred at the HT Ton mill in Mapma 2 and 93. At tips youtube.b k3 sahabu SEA TXX L.West 7 F-Scout. Jaan bachi to lakho paya. If you survived in killing, you earned millions. My father ran the 33,000-acre rice mill in Payapan village with 600 helpers from Udia, Bihar, Tamils, Muslims and Myanmarans. He treated them respectfully, nurtured them well and looked after their children and families. The mill was in partnership with Dr. P.J. Mehta, my father's married sister, Manjula Maya, and Dr. P.J. Mehta's son, Dr. Maganlal P. Mehta. HT Tan, the tiny village southwest of Yangon or Rangoon, about 60 miles. And the nearest small town to the north was Pyapon, about 30 miles. So looters had free hands during the lawless wartime. My father had one weighing scale for buying and selling, whereas most of the other mills had two scales, one for buying and one for selling. That honest business goodness spread so quickly to local communities, and people from far away started coming to weigh their rice on our scale before buying or selling it from another mill. My father's weighing scale became Bhagwano Kata, scale of God. This simple humanity helped us to save from getting killed by the other 50-60,000 Indians. Around neighboring villages, 5,000 to 6,000 Indians and Muslims, including us, were able to survive thanks to the local Myanmar. We were able to escape in the night, leaving mills to the looters and killers. You will read further here. We were protected by local Burmese Myanmar people who cordoned off our home and stopped Myanmaran Buddhist killers with dhav, some sort for the next 6 days. Massacre of Indians, British Pathe Arakan massacre, Wikipedia Rohingya people, Wikipedia the Indian Exodus, scroll. In British Burma, University of Central Arkansas, India's Rangoon connection, Indian Express Dunkirk of the Easy, The Independent, HTTPS www.nbcnews.com @ WBNA 4978692. The hate injected by the British is still active even after 60 years. www.youtube.com watch VKYQ E7 Sequam Play Channel British Path percent C3% 5624 HTTPS www.youtube.com watch Vikartan XQ14CI5 Base and Namtabi Channel British Path percent C3% 9 507 2024. Two heroes of humanity in the 1900s. Manilal Nautamlal Mehta, Fia Babu and his brother Vaju Nautamlal Mehta, both brothers, at the cost of their life millions dollar with their mill to save Hindus and Muslims from Burmese mob in the 1942 March. Second World War. To save Hindu Muslims from the local Burmese mob attacks, cost my father millions when his mill was looted in Burma, Myanmar, in March 1942. They also saved over 5,009 Hindus and Muslims by protecting them for 5 days from death. My father, Manilal, and Uncle Vajubhai's humanity was at its best. They saved over 5,500 Indians by protecting them for 5 days from death at the hands of the Burmese. Read about their life-threatening moments in my father's handwritten 12-page letter to his father. My grandfather Nautamlal Bhagawanji Mehta of Jetpur. Why does this hate only toward Indians? The British were governing Burma. However, most Burmese and Chinese did not match the abilities of Indians. Therefore, in the late 1800s, the British started collaborating with Indians in Burma. However, the British failed to understand that there were no local Thakors, Rajas or Maharajas who could act as a British agent to control the local Indians. In Burma, it was difficult for the British to control Indian growth and prosperity. Therefore, they started dividing and ruling between the Burmese, Buddhists and the Indians, Hindus. Most Muslims were united with Hindu Indians. Fia Babu Manilal Nautamlal Mehta is in the center with his mill helpers. Right side, picture Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Nehru visited this mill, spreading the air of hate that Indians were looting Burmese and taking away their jobs. Was the seed of hatred that grew bigger until the Second World War. The country was lawless. Thaitan Mill near Piapon was on 300 acres of land southwest of Burma. Due to war and lawlessness, there was no media or journalists. It was a time of life and death. No post or telegram existed. Second World War on Myanmar. Saving 6 Rohingya Muslims from Burmese attacks cost my father millions when his mill was looted in Burma, Myanmar in 1942. Their humanity was at its best for my father, Manilal and Uncle Vajubhai. They also saved over 5,500 Indians by protecting them for 5 days from death at the hands of the Burmese. The Burmese people were looting and killing any Indian or Muslim. My father shares how he, my mother and my uncle navigated and survived this horrific situation in a 12-page letter he wrote to my grandfather, Nautamlal. Before you read my father's letter, please spend 10-15 minutes on this link below so that you will understand the life-threatening danger my father Manilal and his brother Vajubhai faced for almost a week with mind-boggling courage, skill and diplomatic tactics to keep killers, looters at a distance and calm. With their courage and heroism, they exhibited to save thousands of Hindu Muslims from the Burmese, Myanmar mob. Tifesos and Wikipedia.org Wikislaser. Arakan below, you will find links to published research papers and news articles to better understand the historical context of events in Burma, Myanmar at the time. The mill referenced below was in a small town named Thaitan and the nearest big town was Piapon. My parents' rice mill employed 700 people across 3,300 acres of land. Per my father, 30,000-40,000 Indians were killed by the Burmese and about 500,000 Indians had to escape back to India. The mill mentioned in the letter was owned by my father, Manilal, and Pranjivan J. Mehta. Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and Indira Gandhi visited it. For our English readers, my daughters, Anjali and Riddhi, son-in-law Adam and wife Veena, spent days reading the letter and translating the context and feelings of the situation into English. We did have to interpret some of the town names or people in my father's letter, which was written almost 80 years ago. Without a gun or army, my parents and uncle's primary weapon was their way of living. Their approach impacted the local Burmese so much that they used to call them Haya Babu, translated to ode-like man, and the locals did their best to protect them. The locals told my father they would not allow hooliganism or looters to enter the mill compound. Meanwhile, my father and uncle were negotiating with the looters, demand through some unknown middlemen. Finally, the looters said my father must give them 6 Rohingya Muslims they intended to kill. The Rohingya Muslims were putting their lives at my father's mercy and hands. My father told the Rohingya people that the only option they had was for them to escape. Otherwise, everyone's lives would be at risk. Then my father sent a letter to Mr. Mountbatten in Pyapon, who sent 4,006 security people with guns. In the middle of the night, the 6 Rohingyas, my parents and my uncle, escaped by walking through the jungle at midnight. By walking through the jungle at midnight instead, he was also alerted that the Burmese were ready to kill everyone in the mill. So he sent a message to a Buddhist monk who helped the remaining people escape. Once my family was exhibited in Pyapon, they had safety and better law and order. The following day, the local looters found out the mill compound was empty and they looted the mill for the next 3 months, selling our product supply, machinery and whatever else they found locally and in Rangoon, Yangon. My father wrote this letter to his father, Nautamlal, on March 21, 1942. My grandfather didn't receive this letter until late 1944. Only God knows my grandfather's joy and peace when he received this letter. This same letter was circulated amongst close family members and finally ended up in Mumbai at the home of Nautamlal's younger brother, Chimanlal Mehta. Then in 1981, when I got married, Chimanla Bibhai's son, Dr. Vajubhai Mehta, gave me these 12 pages and a cricket bat as a marriage gift. The most incredible gift was the letter. Per my father, whatever photos and documents you see may only be 1% of what we had. They lost almost everything when they were looted on March 6, 1942. Many historical stories from that time have yet to be told due to limited world press and the ban on mailing letters. The link below is to my father's handwritten Gujarati 12-page letter translated into English. You can use Google Translate to translate it into any world language. Before you read my father's letter, please spend 10 to 15 minutes on the below links, resource section, which are research papers and news articles to give you the historical context and understand the life-threatening danger my father and his brother Vajubhai faced for almost a week. The mill that is referenced in the letter was in a small town named Thaiton, and the nearest big town was Pyapon. My parents' rice mill had 700 employees on 300 acres of land. Per my father, 30,000, the 40,000 Indians were killed by the Burmese and about 500,000 Indians had to escape back to India. I read about their life-threatening moments in my father's handwritten letter to his father, Nautamlal Bhagawanji Mehta, from Jetpur, Gujarat on March 6, 1942. He recounts how he, his wife Sharda Manilal Mehta, and his brother Vaju Nautamlal Mehta escaped Burmese attackers during World War II. This is the first letter Nautamlal Bhagawanji Mehta received from his son, 3 years after World War II started in 1939. This is the actual picture of the horrifying massacres of Hindu children, too. Thaiton Rice Mill near Pyapon, Burma, Myanmar, is a 3,300-acre land mill jointly owned by Manilal Nautamlal Mehta and Dr. P.J. Mehta in the aftermath. Resources: Massacre of Indians, British Pathe Arakan Massacre, Wikipedia Rohingya people, Wikipedia The Indian Exodus, Scrolled in British Burma, University of Central Arkansas, India's Rangoon Connection, Indian Express Dunkirk of the Easy, The Independent, https // www.nbcnews.com, ID WNA 49786092. The hate injected by the British is still active even after 60 years. The below letter of 12 pages was written in Gujarati by Manilal to his father Nautamlal Mehta. In full details of the loot and killing. Later, it was dated March 6, 1942. Below is translation of above Gujarati into English. Page 2. Hearing their stories, we shivered in fear and felt a sense of faintness. In Burma, where did God go? This question kept bothering me. People in the jungles, small or large villages and on farms were all killed. The Burmese are killing indiscriminately. The cruel hand does not see a small 2-year-old flower-like child, a 70-year-old man, a pregnant daughter, or a hungry person. They killed everyone. In the mill, 5,000-6,000 Indians had gathered. About 5% were injured or hurt. Vajubhai and I provided the best first aid we could. We wished we could help more but wondered how we could help everyone. The wounds were so severe that a doctor's expertise was necessary. We used large amounts of cloth as bandages. We supported and encouraged each other. We provided rice and dal from the mill and our shop. How can we feed such a large number of people? It was our biggest challenge, especially under death threats. The people were from Madras, Odia and Chadgaya, etc. However, it was dangerous since we feared the Burmese might harm us. We provided these displaced individuals with salt and tobacco. Tobacco is a vital dependence for these impoverished people. Everyone was sleeping outdoors and the gathering was so large that in 10 acres of land, there was no room left to even step. Wounded individuals continued to arrive, feeling relief and peace upon reaching this place. They sense they are safe now, trusting that no harm will come to them, although merciful God does not permit this. For the unfortunate Indians, their penance is not yet complete. Both the mill and I are fortunate to be able to assist these people during this crisis. Page 3. I am not confident that I am ensuring safety for these brothers and sisters. Such a large gathering of Indians could easily become a target. How can someone like me believe that bringing so many people together can truly save their lives? Now, the looters and killers are almost at our mill. These are people from Lepame, Kamamo, Rohigadu, Byangaji, Akiba, Koye, Jomena and others. They started gathering in groups around the mill. If you look at their hands, you'll see a naked sword. Not just in one hand, but in both hands. No one is without a sword. Outside the mill, the groups of Burmese are shouting, Ur Burma, Aur Burma. On March 3rd, 1942, we were awakened in the night. Our hunger was gone and our peace was shattered. We lived in fear and felt as if we were ghosts. Our blood seemed to run dry. If you cut our hand, there would be no blood. The cloud of fear is overwhelming. The Burmese people decided that we would remove the Kalas Indians and then loot the mill. At that point, the sheltered Indians in the mill decided they would not flee, and if they had to, they would die there. However, Vajubhai was very confident that we could save the mill. He was unshaken by the fear of death, but I was overwhelmed by it. My greatest wish was to survive for my father, mother, and children, still in India. We stayed awake, continuously praying for our lives. Initially, the sheltered Indians were motivated and enthusiastic about fighting the Burmese, refusing to surrender or retreat. Page 4. Babu, please sit in the house peacefully. We will die, but we will not let the looters enter. We will see what happens next, the Indians said. Vajubhai with a naked sword and Bechalal Patel with a loaded gun. We had a gun at the mill at the time. Due to my fear, I did not leave the area much at night. For protection, we collected broken branches in the event we needed to fight. Throughout the day and night, we organized a security patrol. The days and nights of March 2nd and 3 passed in this manner. On March 4th, the period was still filled with anxiety. March 5 was the darkest day. If I described everything that happened during these days in detail, the letter would be 70 pages long. It's better I tell you in person. The innocent and pointless killings by the merciless Burmese continued. Over these 2.5 days, some Burmese, possibly those who initially offered us protection, betrayed us. They asked for the mill and told us to leave, which was their first demand. We agreed. But a few hours later, they returned and demanded that the shop's contents, worth about Rs 60,000, also be handed over. We agreed to this as well. We let the store be looted. To protect everyone, we were ready to sacrifice everything else. After this, they returned and stated that they had information indicating we had 3.5 libs of gold and Rs 1 lakh worth of jewelry. If we gave them all of this, then our lives would be saved. Page 5. With unsheathed swords, 4 or 5 Burmese people entered the room carrying the safe. We shivered like pigeons, and Vajubhai went to show them the safe upstairs. We thought they would find an empty safe and, in their anger, kill Vajubhai. Inside the safe, there was approximately Rs 5,000 to 7,000, which they took. They also took Maya Bhai and Desai Babu's silver trunks. Kushal Bhai and the other brothers' safes were broken into because I did not have the keys. It took them 3 to 4 hours to break into the safes. They probably broke into 3 or 4 safes. Finally, they said that if we removed all the sheltered Indians from the mill, then we would all be safe. They mentioned that with all these Indians together, we could attack their Burmese villages. But I told them these are people simply trying to save their lives. If the Burmese allowed these Indians to go to Pyapon, then they would be ready to leave. We decided that the neighboring people, who are considered police patels, would escort the Indians willing to go to Pyapon. However, the challenge remains. How do so many people make that journey? For in each issue, the Burmese tended to make excuses and blame the Indians during negotiations, which heightened tensions. I sought help from the Fungi, temple priest, and Thejnu Thagni, as well as from prominent Burmese residents nearby. However, the outcome was zero. Everyone was eager to go to Pyapon. To save their lives, they were willing to go to Pyapon, Rangoon, or even the desert of Sindh. Meanwhile, we heard a rumor that in 3 days, the Burmese would gather, attack the mill, drive out the Indians, and attempt to burn the mill down. But with 5,000, 6,000 Indians in a group, the Burmese lacked confidence in that plan. Page 6. But by March 5, 4 pm, 1,000, 2,000 neighboring Burmese people were planning to attack. I heard that some Burmese in Pyapon took a vow to either come to our mill to loot it or die. Our end is near. I am crowded with thoughts of our death. At 4 pm, we were surrounded by the Burmese shouting, "Ur Burma, our Burma. God Ram, the protector." The critical moment has arrived. A group of 1,000 Burmese has gathered, armed with 10 to 12 guns. We were in an upstairs room, closed inside, praying to our merciful God. The Burmese attackers positioned themselves around the mill. We peeked out the window to observe. As soon as we did, they fired. A bullet struck the wall nearby and fell to the ground. By running amidst all this chaos, bhai-bens, sisters, brothers, children, and older people fell into the river. And they swam to the banks. They tried to hide in the nearby bushes. Other sisters and brothers took to the road to Pyapon. There was no limit to fear. And a Fungi, temple priest, came. He took Vajubhai outside. And Vajubhai and the Fungi went to investigate whether the road to Pyapon was safe for Indians. We did not like how Vajubhai left in this manner. But his courage was genuinely remarkable. Page 7, page 8. The Burmese attackers also took our boat, and 2 of our workers who were hiding in the boat were discovered and also killed. Their bodies were thrown into the river. We witnessed this all. Madhavan Hirani left us on the first day of the looting and ran away. M. Madhavan's brother and his family participated in looting the mill. Bhato Hirani also ran away. His relatives also participated in the looting. Until the end, Potlilal and engineer Komai also looted the mill and kept what they stole in their home. The Burmese attackers still did not leave us alone, even after stealing everything. Our karma from our past life and this life is still not over. On March 3rd, from our room, some close colleagues of ours ran away. At night, someone mentioned that the Burmese attackers do not want Babu to give shelter to Chatgaya and other associates, such as Ali Ahmed Malik and Abdul Malik in Tethan, because the Burmese attackers have great anger towards the Chatgaya people. If Babu provides them shelter, then they will kill us all. Look at our moral dilemma. This situation was discussed with Doma privately. How can we tell our Chatgaya colleagues to leave and risk death while they are seeking shelter from us? We had no time to think about this properly. They started crying and touching my feet. They had Rs 200 to Rs 400 and started giving me the money to give to the Burmese attackers so they would allow them to stay with us. Page 9. Page 10. When we left, our Darwan walked ahead of us with an unsheathed sword. I consider the mill more than my life, which I am leaving for good. I considered this mill as my child. I was involved in its progress, expansion, and prosperity. When it underwent a painful downturn, I cried for it. This is a very painful experience, and I imagine for you too, and thus I do not want to write more about this and cause you more pain. When we reached Oklapongi Chaun, it was still very early in the morning. From our mill, this chaun is 1.5 miles away. The road was bad and was primarily farmland. The Pongi temple priests have not been very cooperative, but today they were our potential saviors, and thus we were bowing before them. The people who were with us after leaving the Koti were also grateful to the Pongis. We all came together by the morning. The mill became an orphan. In the mill there was plenty of stock and valuable items. For the Rangoon Khadi Bhandar, there was Rs 30,000, 40,000 worth of khadi. Other valuable items and goods of Maya Bhai, Desai Babu, Kushal Bhai and other Babus of Pyapon were also at the mill. Trunks of pots and pans, trunks of books, bedding, singer sewing machines and various types of furniture, cabinets, safes, vaults, etc. were all at the mill. In our goods, we were able to save my sister M. Mayaban's silver pots and pans and jewelry. And we could move some clothes and other items to another safe space. We were able to save only 30 tikals, 16.4 gms of gold is 1 tikal of gold for the mortgage. After the looting, we were able to recover 4 to 6 accounting books from the mill. From our belongings, we could save 1 trunk of clothes and jewelry. We had kept this trunk in another home and brought it back to the Koti. In the Koti, there was a Burmese neighbor who was very helpful. We were able to keep everything at the neighbor's daughter's house. This Burmese family has given us tremendous help and support. My sister's jewelry, our gold jewelry and the Emil's gold were saved only because we had this Burmese family's assistance. This Burmese family sent our precious belongings to another family's home. Through this process, we could preserve and recover our belongings. How we hid these belongings and brought these belongings to Pyapon is another story which I will tell you in person. Page 11. The looting continued for 8 to 10 days. First they took the light movable goods. Then they took the heavier items like furniture and machinery. Later they started tearing apart the building. The mill has no security or any help. But eventually we were able to secure some security to help us save whatever was left of the mill. Thanks to the help of God. Page 12. The rest of page 12 requires reading from the original copy. Photographic documentation. Left. My father, Manilal Babu, and mother, Sharda, Amma, outside the mill compound. Right. My uncle Vajubhai was courageous and did not fear dying. He was the core engine in dealing with the looters and mob, saving thousands of Hindus and Muslims from the savage mindset. Left. Pandit Nehru and Indira Gandhi visiting the mill in 1937. Right. Mahatma Gandhi visiting the mill. Left. My mother, Amma, before the mill was looted. Right. Amma is sewing clothes for the mill workers' children at the mill. She used to get great fulfillment when the children jumped joyfully with a new dress or shirt. This generosity created outstanding bonds between mill workers and my father. Left. Amma with her eldest son Dhirendra Bhai. Right. Babuji was pursuing his leisure activity, gardening. Left. Babu in his home in Thitan before it was looted. Right. Babu with a British government representative. Left. Babu with 2 of his trusted employees who were instrumental in the mill's functioning. Right. Home within the mill. Left. Babu with his team. Right. Other fellow mill workers. Left. Amma at the mill. Right. Local Burmese people at the mill. Left. The mill after the loot and destruction. Right. Thousands of Indians, Hindus, Jains and Muslims were killed by Burmese hooliganism. Left and center, from an unknown newspaper source, Indians walking back to Chittagong, India. Some walked 400 miles to return to India and some were lucky to have a cart. Right. Our home in Rangoon after the loot and destruction in Pyapon. The photocopy letter written in Gujarati.